11 people are summoned to a mysterious place. None of them have any idea why they are there. The only thing in common between them is that they are all from a place called Teonir. A fairy suddenly appears out of nowhere and tells them to get ready for the fight. This leaves all of them confused, wondering what she is talking about. She introduces herself as Yesel, the fairy who runs this place. The confused crowd tries to get some answers about their situation, but she refuses to answer. Angered by this, a mercenary pulls out his sword and threatens to kill her. She warns him to stop if he doesn't want to die. But the mercenary refuses to listen and attacks her. In the blink of an eye, he is killed. As if it were a game, a notification suddenly pops up about his death. Everyone is left shocked and scared for their own lives. The system once again gives a notification. It forms a party of 5 people from the group. The fairy refers to it as her master's work. She opens a rift and tells the newly formed party to step in if they don't want to die. Suddenly, one person steps forward. He is Han Yesle, a farmer. He tells her to have the master summon weapons. He mentions that they are 1-star heroes, so if they go without weapons, it would be a suicide mission. Everyone wonders what he is talking about. She asks the master to summon weapons using a keyboard. The master agrees and summons low-tier weapons for them. Han catches the attention of a girl named Jenna, as he seems to know more than he is letting on. Following Han's lead, everyone rushes to equip themselves with different weapons. Everyone grabs the most dangerous-looking weapons, while Han grabs a wooden shield. The first party enters the rift, and the system starts giving notifications of their deaths soon after. The party gets wiped out in no time. Yesel gets angry and orders everyone else to enter the rift as well. Han seems to be the only one who is calm and ready to face whatever they are about to fight, while everyone else is scared and looking for a way to escape. Upon entering the rift, they're teleported to a battlefield. The system calls it the first floor and gives them the quest to eliminate all the enemies. Everyone gets scared and tries to run away. The system reduces the stats of everyone who is frightened by 30%. Their attempt to escape leads nowhere as the group runs into an invisible wall, making it clear that their only option is to fight if they want to live. Other than Han, Jenna is the only one who seems to have her head in the game. The two quickly come up with a plan to defend themselves from the incoming attack by the goblins. Pick Me Up is a mobile game. Its objective is to clear a 100-floor tower by using heroes and equipping them with weapons. Just a day ago, Han So-jin was a normal human playing the game. The game has heroes ranging from 1-star to 7-star. After playing for a while, Han gets a notification about an in-game event in celebration of reaching 100 million downloads. In the event, a dungeon is made available. It drops a rare item that can be used to create a 7-star hero. Despite spending a lot of money on the game, Han has never pulled a 7-star hero, so he enters the event as soon as it starts. In Pick Me Up, once a hero dies, they are gone for good, even if they are a high-level hero. So Han uses a disposable party of 1-star heroes to raid the dungeon. This way, he can scout the dungeon and learn the boss's attack patterns first. Han's party is easily wiped out by a level 999 boss. The boss has no name, making Han think it must be a system error. To Han's surprise, the boss looks directly at him and he is suddenly teleported inside the game. The game starts creating a new account by the name Whatever. Han wakes up in a burning village. It is a tutorial for the new player. He is suddenly attacked by a goblin. It doesn't take long for him to realize his situation. The tutorial continues as the game makes the player summon a new hero. A rare 4-star hero named Shay is summoned. The player forms a party between Shay and Han and throws them into a dungeon. Unlike Han, who is only 1-star, Shay is skilled at combat and instantly kills 5 goblins. A problem soon appears for Han as the tutorial continues. The next part of the tutorial is about synthesis, combining 2 heroes to make a more powerful one. This is also where he meets Yesel for the first time. She's surprised to find out that Han is from Earth. Not knowing what to do, she tells him to just go with the flow and continue playing the game. She forces Han to go inside the synthesis tower. The synthesizing process starts. Any normal player would obviously sacrifice the lower-rated hero to increase the stats of the higher-level hero. Han is certain that he is going to die. To Han's surprise, the player misinputs and ends up killing Shy instead. In the present, the party is being attacked by the goblins. The frightened people easily get killed. Jenna and Han work together and manage to defeat all the monsters, clearing the first floor. As their suffering continues, they're observed by the player. watching them like a god from above. But Han is determined to clear the game and return to his own world. Han begins training for the next floor. He starts training to get stronger. There are two ways for a hero to die in Pick Me Up. One is to get synthesized and the other is to die in combat. One-star heroes are basically useless in this game, so Han has to get stronger if he wants to have any chance of escaping. Following Han's lead, Jenna also starts her own training. She trains with her bow and manages to get the beginner archery skill. Han is impressed by her attitude, so he decides to help her get stronger so they can work together to escape. The system creates a friendship bonus between them, which means that if they are in a party together, they will receive bonuses. He calls Yesel to ask her some questions. He asks her if he is the only one who can see the system notification. Although she tries to dodge the question, her clumsy reaction is more than enough for him to understand. Han is also curious about what will happen if the master quits the game, as it has been a week since the last time he was online. It would be normal for someone to rage quit after losing a 4-star hero which only has a 1% chance of being summoned. He continues asking questions, and every time he is able to get his answers just from her reaction. Han finally reveals to Jenna that they'll have to raid 100 floors. If they reach the 100th floor, then they should be able to escape, but ultimately, their lives are in the master's hands. As he spends more time in the game, he learns more and more about how things work. For example, if he wants something like food or other necessities, he just needs to think about them, and they automatically appear in his drawer. He also learns about the rules of getting stronger. Even if two heroes are 1-star, their combat abilities are different due to training. Training doesn't increase a hero's level or stats, but it can give them new skills. Han also learns that there are 3 ways in which heroes can be different. First is their mental strength, which means their ability to not get frightened when facing enemies. Second is their skills, something that higher level heroes are summoned with, while lower level heroes have hidden skills that the master has to find out. And the third is their physique, which can be improved through hard work. 3 days have passed since he began training, and the master finally logs in. He summons 3 new heroes named Yeltsins, Toby, and Aaron. They are faced with the same confusion that Han initially had. They are out of weapons, so the new heroes will have to go into battle with old iron swords, which is the default weapon. They form a party and go into the rift, but the new heroes have the same frightened reaction, which decreases their stats. Han quickly realizes that they will be useless and that he and Jenna will have to work together again if they want to clear this floor. This time, they are attacked by wolves. Due to his bad weapon, Han has some trouble killing the monsters, but he doesn't let that stop him. He uses his wooden shield to defend himself while attacking with his old iron sword. He barely manages to defeat the wolves. But he is not alone, as Jenna kills all the goblins using her bow. They manage to clear the floor without any casualties. They return to the base, but to their horror, they are being teleported to the 3rd floor without rest. With their master being reckless, they are worried if they go to the 3rd floor now, they will surely die, as the newly summoned heroes are not ready for a fight. To Han's relief, the master logs out before they are teleported. He deduces that the in-game time is 3 times slower than the real world. This means that the master will log back in 3 days, which is 1 day in the real world. He also notices that regular people are summoned as 1-star in the game, while a person who had a combat-oriented profession gets summoned as a higher-level hero, like the mercenary who was 2 stars. Jenna tries to make the new summons understand the situation they're in, but they still refuse to fight. On the other hand, Han is not worried, as he knows that if they continue to be useless, then the master will eventually synthesize them. They both continue their training, although it only involves Han constantly swinging his sword and Jenna firing her bow. Meanwhile, the others continue to waste their time looking for an exit that doesn't exist. Han and Jenna both gain new skills. His old skills even get synthesized into a new skill. Finally, the day comes once again for them to fight. They raid the 3rd floor, but it's too easy for them this time. The others continue to not participate, but once again Han is not worried, as he doesn't have to share experience with them. In a new twist of events, the master gets the option to spin the Wheel of Fortune to improve the behavior of the disobedient heroes. The master chooses the 1st floor for the challenge, which is no problem for Jenna and Han. The 3 heroes continue to hide behind them while they clear the floor and get rewards. After challenging the floor multiple times, the master returns them to the base, but it's not over, as just like Han predicted. The master starts synthesizing. Although the player is not actively involved in the fight, the master carefully observes their every move. As Han and Jenna carry out all the tasks, the master adds them to his favorites list. Initially, the master selects Jenna and Yeltsin's for the next phase of the process. Jenna feels frightened, but Han assures her that she will be all right. Meanwhile, Yeltsin's becomes infuriated, protesting that he never volunteered for this. It's no use as the synthesizing process starts. Yeltsin's turns into light and disappears while Jenna levels up and gets a new skill called Hawkeye. Next, the master selects Han and Toby while Han maintains his composure and approaches the task calmly. Toby foolishly clings to the hope that he will be sent home. As a result, Toby is the one who vanishes and Han levels up, gaining composure skill. As the events unfold, Eren comes to the realization of his foolishness. Jenna also gets scared at the thought of being synthesized in the future. Han tries to comfort Jenna and tells her to follow her father's advice and align herself with someone powerful for survival. Jenna accepts Han's advice and chooses him, recognizing that he is the strongest person she knows. Even Eren also decides to come to Han. He tells him that he realizes how foolish he had been and requests Han's assistance in becoming stronger. Han gives him a spear for training. This way, their party will have all three basic character types. Han as a close-range fighter, Jenna as the long-range expert, and finally Eren as the mid-range fighter. Han is not a nice teacher though. He attacks Eren immediately, insisting that he must learn through his own experiences. As Eren had never engaged in real combat, Han quickly defeats him, cautioning him that giving up easily will lead to death. The master unlocks the forge. Having unlocked the free room, Han goes to check it out. He calls Yesel once again. He asks her if she is the one sending the tips to the players, telling them to do things like build a fort. He also verifies with her if she can surf the web, which she confirms. Han realizes that the tips she sends are being used as a base for newer players. Loki is a pick-me-up player who posts tips on the game's website. He holds the top spot in the game, and he's also Yesel's favorite. However, Han astonishes her by disclosing his true identity as Loki. At first, Yesel is skeptical when Han claims to be Loki, but he provides proof by sharing his account number, which is kept confidential for security purposes. She then becomes a fangirl and requests his autograph. As a player, Han's waiting room served as the base for all the heroes in Niflheim, with a capacity of 20,000 people and spanning 13 floors at levels 18 to 22. She expresses her concern about Niflheim's fate without him. Han suggests she simply send him back if she is so worried, but she can't do that. Yesel is now eager to answer Han's questions. She confirms that all the heroes in the game are real people and not AI. This fact is unknown to the players themselves. Next, Han inquires if he can return home after clearing the tower, but Yesel is unable to provide an answer. Han's next question is probably the most important one. Who brought him here? Unfortunately, she can't tell, but if he wants to climb the tower, then she can help him, something she is more than happy to do. Elsewhere, Jenna and Eren continue their training. Jenna is growing quickly, having also mastered a dagger, while Eren struggles to keep up with Jenna's pace. Han approaches them with Yesel by his side. Together they make their way to the warehouse. Yesel opens the warehouse for Han. He grabs a bunch of raw materials that he can use to craft a weapon. After speaking with Yesel, Han realizes that he exists in this world as both a master and a hero, allowing him to invade another hero's territory and access the forge, something a regular hero won't be able to do. He tries to craft a weapon, but due to a lack of skills for it, he incurs a triple penalty. A mini-game is required to create a weapon, with the quality of the weapon determined by the player's score. Despite having a triple penalty, Han chooses the hardest possible difficulty. He is indeed the top player as he completes the game with ease, forging a C-ranked sword. Despite the rarity of the materials, Han manages to craft a bow, spear, and shield, all of which turn out to be C rank. He decides to stop there as he doesn't want the master to come back, only to find a bunch of materials missing from his inventory. Using their new weapons, the party becomes much more efficient in combat. They try to clear the 4th floor while working together as a group. As this is Eren's first real combat, he still gets frightened. Jenna assists him in regaining his composure by slapping him. This might be Eren's last chance, because if he continues to underperform, then the master might synthesize him. They manage to clear the floor, but Eren is still worried about what will happen to him. To his delight, the master places him under his favorites. Jenna jokingly mentions herself and Eren as being Han's underlings, which prompts Han to recall his own heroes. His number 1 underling was a hero named Cirrus, the sub-master of his waiting room, and Yernut, his number 2 underling. They were so intelligent that it made Han wonder if they were really AI, but now he knows that they were real people. Elsewhere in Niflheim, Cirrus is preparing to leave for an investigation about her master's whereabouts. The master starts upgrading his waiting room. Han realizes that the master must be an office worker since he can splurge so much on a game. In Pick Me Up, you don't get any gems by clearing floors, and there's rarely an in-game event. So players must use real money to upgrade their waiting room. Due to the upgrade to the residence, the master can now house more heroes. So the master decides to do another summoning and begins with 10 summonings, and Yesel insistently starts asking them if they can do jobs like cooking or forging. Due to the upgrades, the system within the waiting room has now changed. Now, non-combatants can avoid fighting by working certain jobs. Those without these skills are forced to battle in the dungeons. The master summons a new group of heroes, all at level 1, and sends them to the first floor to weed out the weaker ones. However, as soon as 2 of the heroes enter the rift, they immediately perish, causing the rest to feel frightened and unsure. Seeing this, Eren steps up to help and requests Yesel to include him in the party. Despite Eren's lack of fighting experience, Han agrees that it's a good idea and recommends him to the master with a tip from Yesel. Thanks to Eren's help, the next party successfully clears the first floor without any casualties. Once back at the residence, the group enjoys an upgrade in their meals, no longer having to survive on just potatoes. One of the new heroes, Dolph, decides to avoid fighting by pretending to be a chef. But his lack of culinary skills quickly becomes apparent when he fails to create any dishes from the available ingredients. Han insistently changes their cook and assigns the position to a hero named Chloe. Unlike Dolph, Chloe whips up a great meal using potatoes. Han tells the group that they must instruct the new heroes from now on. Han assigns another hero named Enoch the job of being a carpenter. He warns the new group that though the non-combatants have higher survivability, they might get replaced if a new, more skilled hero shows up. Only 3 of the new heroes show up for training, a group of teenagers who refer to Han as their boss. Due to his higher level, it's like an adult fighting children when he trains them. Meanwhile, Jenna continues to make progress in her training, leveling up her bow skills to 5 and acquires sword skills of level 2. However, Eren still struggles, despite training more than anyone else. His spear skills refuse to progress beyond level 2. A few days later, the master summons 10 more heroes, but now Eren and the teenagers take charge of instructing them, allowing the population to grow with only 1 casualty during the weeding process. Jenna begins to wonder why the master hasn't challenged the 5th floor in a while, but Han knows the answer. As the difficulty level increases every 5 floors, the 5th floor is similar to a boss level, making Han question his ability to survive. He wonders if he has what it takes to overcome the challenges of this floor. The new party learns to work together. The weaker heroes have their own way of fighting, through the formation. Though Han can clear the floor all by himself, he knows the importance of training others as there will be challenges that would require teamwork. In the new summon, the master obtained a tanner and a blacksmith, and he also activated the equipment workshop. The tanner, carpenter, and blacksmith all work together to make equipment. They mostly make E-rank equipment which is given to the new summons, while the main party of Han, Jenna, and Eren receive higher level gear. As usual, there were some among the new summons who didn't train and tried to look for the exit. They quickly got synthesized. Finally, the day comes when the master challenges the 5th floor. The party, consisting of Han, Jenna, Eren, and 2 of the teenagers, Zid and Hansen, arrive at an abandoned city on the 5th floor. To their surprise, there are no monsters in sight. But as Jenna climbs a nearby bell tower to scout, she discovers thousands of goblins entering the city. It becomes clear that this is not a usual subjugation quest, but a survival quest, and they must endure the goblin attack for 10 minutes, which equals 30 minutes in the real world. Survival quests are considered a hero grinder on the lower floors, with a success rate as low as 9. Han quickly takes charge and leads the group to a narrow alleyway, where they have a higher chance of survival. He assigns each of them specific tasks, with Zed and Hansen tasked to form a barricade. However, the goblins arrive before they can set up the barricade, and the onslaught begins with waves of goblins attacking them relentlessly, like rabid animals craving their blood. Han takes charge and quickly organizes the group into a formation. However, he soon realizes that Zed and Hansen are not experienced enough to handle the situation. Their stamina depletes rapidly due to their low level and inefficient use of skills, leaving them exhausted. Despite being low-level monsters, the sheer number of goblins is starting to become a problem as the goblins charge blindly without any fear of death. Han orders Zid and Hansen to switch positions to conserve their stamina, but tragedy strikes when Zid gets injured and loses his hand to one of the goblins. Han remains calm and orders Hansen to switch with him. Hansen hesitates as fear grips him, prompting Han to step in and defend the barrier himself. Meanwhile, Jenna rushes to assist Zid and stem the bleeding. Han continues to hold off the goblin, however. The group's equipment starts to wear down, and even Hansen's sword stops working, forcing Zid to switch with him. As the situation becomes dire, Han orders Jenna to use all of her remaining arrows to stop the goblins from breaking through. One of the goblins manages to land a fatal blow on the already weakened Zid, and the system notifies the group that he has fallen into a moribund state.
Their already dire situation takes a turn for the worst, as Zid lies on the ground in critical condition. Jenna is worried about him, but doesn't know what to do. Hansen also starts to struggle due to the absence of Zid, having no one to switch with. Meanwhile, Han is dealing with hordes of goblins. Realizing Zid is dead, he takes over for Hansen, as well as letting Jenna know the situation. Continuously dealing with the hordes, their skills level up and their souls awaken. However, Han finds it meaningless as skills are of no use to them dead. Hansen, surrounded by goblins, screams for Han's help, but he is unable to. As Hansen gets killed, he tells Jenna and Eren to stick by him as they have no time to grieve. Running from the goblins, they come across a wall. Han immediately orders Jenna to climb the wall as he begins slashing multiple goblins at once. After she is up, he tells Eren to go next. While she is helping him up, a goblin is able to stab Eren's leg. As they don't have time, Han immediately cuts off Eren's leg, causing him to scream in agony. Meanwhile, the goblins start to step on each other to climb the wall. Han quickly gets over the wall and instructs Jenna to fend them off using Eren's spear. While trying to keep them from getting up, Jenna loses the spear. Having no choice, Han uses his leg to keep them down, telling Jenna to do the same. With only 30 seconds left, a goblin is able to grab Han, pulling him down. He continues to fight but gets stabbed by one of them. He winces and screams in pain as the goblin pulls out the sword. With both him and Jenna bleeding, Han is sure it's over. As he wonders if he will die on only the 5th floor, he remembers everything he went through. Anger surges through his body as he refuses to let it end like this. His eyes change color, and he once again starts killing the goblins with his newly awakened skill, Berserk. Every part of his body is in pain, but he refuses to fall. Continuously slashing the goblins one after the other causes his sword to break. Yet he refuses to stop. One of the goblins' claws is going straight for him. Just then the time runs out and everything stops, saving the lives of Han, Jenna, and Eren. With Han as the MVP, the stage is cleared and all 3 of them are returned to the gate. They are all in disbelief as Jenna cries tears of joy. She asks Han to help her up while confirming if they actually survived. This experience makes her wonder if this is how the floors will be from now on. Han responds that their timing was unlucky as their team was not strong enough, especially Hansen and Zid. Otherwise, survival missions are not that difficult. Jenna is aware of this but still feels regretful. Upon being welcomed to the waiting room, they are asked about Hansen and Zid, and Han responds that they died, leaving everyone in disbelief. Upon returning to his room, he immediately drops down on the bed. Thinking back on everything that transpired, he isn't bothered by the deaths, as that is a common occurrence in this game. He also remembers gaining the Berserk skill, which doesn't add up as he also has the Composure skill, and considering the fact that these skills can't coexist, he is certain that it's a bug. Although it isn't, he believes it might be because he is half master and half hero. Being tired, Han decides to stop thinking as he needs rest for the busy day ahead. The next morning, Jenna is already training when he arrives, while she usually comes after him. Upon asking her, he finds out that she just doesn't want to die by staying weak. Looking at her growth, he knows she is talented as well as hardworking, but that's not the case for Eren, who despite his hard work hasn't been able to acquire any new skills. Han continues his training as he is close to reaching the max level and expects to be promoted to level 2 soon. But there is something bothering him, and it's none other than Jenna, who is admiring his abs. Having punished her, he gets up. Jenna asks him why Eren isn't here when he is usually training hard. He tells her to leave him be as he must be having a hard time as he used to train with Hansen and Zid. Unlike the guys here, who just pretend to train when the master logs in due to the fear of being synthesized. As Han tells Jenna that these guys should have died instead of them. Eren suddenly shows up. He has a frustrated look on his face as he expresses that if only he was stronger they wouldn't have died. Han responds that they simply died cause they were weak. Having already spent a month in the game, he observed that the waiting room time is 3 times slower than Earth, meaning 10 days in the real world is a month in the game. However, this is not the case in battle stages as time flows the same as on Earth. Suddenly, Yesel shows up bragging about Han being the master of masters for clearing the level 5 dungeon with a crappy team. Jenna inquires why she is acting like that, but Han keeps it a secret, while trying to not be bothered by Yesel. The Master forms a new party consisting of Jenna, Han, Owen, Lewis, and Joffrey. They are instructed to enter the space-time rift. This time, the party will be entering the daily dungeon. One of the new party members named Owen asks Han if he will be fighting with them, as he isn't strong enough. Han tells him to not worry as they won't have to fight. Upon entering the rift, they are transported to Kendrick Forest. This time it's just a collection quest that varies in location depending on the day. Jenna is on edge as only Han knows this info, so he calms her down and explains to everyone how to collect stuff and store it in the rift, referring to it as the trash bin. Everyone is delighted, but he tells Jenna she needs to hunt. Although not as relaxing as collecting branches, she is still very happy upon spotting meat. Like everything else, she is pretty talented at hunting and butchering, as she saw her father do it. With a little over 30 minutes left, Han goes to look for something. He finds the rare monster he was looking for, the Queen of the Forest, as she possesses a low-rank promotion stone. In one swift moment, Han beheads the males that were with her. Finally being face-to-face with the Queen, he taunts her to bring it on. While back at the base, the newbies are scared after seeing a monster, but on closer inspection, they realize it is just Han carrying the Queen Deer's head. As he is tired, he leaves the rest to Jenna, who has hunted enough for everyone to eat. She awakens a new skill upon dissecting the head hunter of the forest. Han also acquires a D-rank wind elemental stone. Everyone is thrilled to finally enjoy some meat. After Jenna has eaten, Han tells her to follow him, and he takes her to the daily dungeon, as they change depending on the day of the week. He forms a temporary party with her as they enter the Sineal Plateau. Han wants to gather elemental stones and materials so they can become stronger. Jenna is marveled at the view while Han looks around and spots plants of life, which are key ingredients for a healing potion. He decides to go for them later as they are here for another purpose, that being slaying the boss monster, which proves to be quite easy, and he obtains another elemental stone. As Jenna dissects the wolf, she expresses how peaceful it is and wishes they only had to do this to survive. Han agrees that it would be a paradise if only there wasn't a master, immediately realizing he himself was one. As Jenna wishes for the master to never come back, he wonders if the Niflheimer people also think the same. Regardless, he tells Jenna she could do other things as fighting isn't everything. When she asks him then why he isn't following that path, he has no response except a smile. A few days later, they enter the 6th floor with the usual party, the only addition being Deka. The 6th floor is an uncommon exploration mission. Han tells everyone to keep their voices and heads down. Misinterpreting, they all drop to the ground. Han lets them know that they only need to satisfy the requirement to clear the stage, which is to just investigate their surroundings. Upon investigation, they spot 3 goblins with a blowing whore. From a tree, Jenna spots a goblin village with about 100 goblins. Knowing it's a trap, Han decides to deal with these 3 goblins first so they can't alert the village. The plan is simple. Jenna will shoot one while Han charges with Aaron following behind and Deka stays for backup. With the plan in motion, Jenna shoots, taking out the first goblin. Aaron uses his spear to smash the other one, and finally, Han finishes the last one off with a swift slash. The stage is cleared, and again, Han is the MVP. The teleportation starts, but Han suddenly dashes off, quickly getting to the goblin village in order to observe the size. Before he gets spotted, they are all teleported back. Upon being asked where he went, he simply replies he was just looking around, but in reality, he thinks that it might be a linked quest, which is also known as streams, and they start with this sort of exploration mission. Han is frustrated as being able to analyze streams depends on how competent the master is, but he can't be sure if whomever saw the village through him. As he ponders why streaming has begun so soon, one of the residents tells him some strange people showed up. This is a common happening, but Chloe expresses that they had weapons and seem a little different. Han expected this as he knows exactly what she means. The master has summoned high-rank heroes, the Pulverizing Wolves mercenaries. Han asks Yesel to confirm if the master spent any money, and her response confirms that the master has indeed summoned high-rank heroes, which should have been done before challenging the 5th floor. Nonetheless, he tells Chloe to go back to her job, as nothing changes even if a few special newbies have shown up. On their way back, they spot one of the new summons. Jenna immediately rushes to get to know her, while also introducing Han in the process. He immediately notices her class and abilities, and they are up to the mark of a 3-star hero. He confirms her name and asks her to talk. They sit at a table. He confirms how much she knows as being a 3-star. She is aware that she was summoned to fight, and other mechanics confirm that the information each hero has depends on their rank. Han notices that even among the mercenaries she is pretty skilled. Their conversation is interrupted as the master calls the new heroes to the plaza. We see another one of them coming out of the kitchen. Chloe reports that he took off with a whole drumstick, which could have fed 5 people if used in cooking. Han and Jenna also go to the plaza. The master forms a party named Pulverizing Wolves consisting of the newly summoned heroes. The old residents seem to be worried about the new arrivals. Thus they complain to Han that they look evil and ask for his protection. He responds with a smile when they expect him to help for free, as all they did was eat and pretend to train so they won't get synthesized. With all that said, his face turns grim as he tells them to get lost before he gets angry.